Okay, so now that I've completed this first section, I can use a lot of that line work as the basis for the section that I've got running the other way. So for this, you'll need to have the floor plan copied over to the right and then rotated 90 degrees, so it's going to project in a different direction. And so there you can see I've got it cutting through the brickwork on the left-hand side and then the exterior wall over here on the right. And then I'm going to use a bit of a trick here that I don't think I've shown you. I've shown the other class. I'm going to draw a line from the point that I want to use to mirror. So I'm going to go from this line here, which is on the interior face of that exterior wall. And I've drawn a line coming up from the interior face of the exterior wall in my new section. Okay, so what that means is I can now then mirror using that line and snapping to the midpoint. I'm going to take it up vertically so that my mirror line is at 90 degrees. Click. And then no, I don't want to erase source objects because obviously I want to keep everything that I've done on the left. Okay, so what you should see now is that the inside face of this wall at least lines up with the line that I've drawn here from the section. Okay, so I'm going to delete that line that I drew to mirror temporarily, so I don't need that anymore. And I can even delete this line. But I'm going to leave this one because now you can see that I want to bring the brick wall here over to this line. So I'll show you then you can use the stretch command and make a window right to left over all the things I want to extend. I'm going to press enter and then snap to the inside face of my brickwork and then take it across to the left to the line that I've drawn, making sure it's perpendicular. So there you can see it's trying to bring up different object snaps. I've got the perpendicular one, but if you want to force it, just type PER, enter, and it will only snap to the perpendicular. And there we are, so I've extended those things across. There are extra lines there that probably don't apply to this section, so I'm going to delete those. Okay, so again with the line that I've drawn from the section, you can see that it's cutting through this wall, and they're probably using the column that we're going to see here. So I'm going to delete this line as well. We have a beam that runs through that may be on one side of this brick wall, or it may be centred. We don't know because we can't see inside that bulkhead. So I might assume here for now that it's okay the way it is. Delete this other line actually. And then we just, by pure chance, have an air conditioning unit that's in a similar location, but it's not the same location. So I'm just going to modify that and use the move tool to bring it up so that it's in the correct place on the bulkhead. So it's actually up here, this one. You can see pretty clearly they're in different places. And then I can do something like trim, just to get rid of that line. Oh no, sorry, actually, that line's going to go anyway. Okay, so there are a lot of similarities on that side, but then on the right-hand side it's quite different. So there, you won't be able to just reuse everything. It's going to make sure on the right layer. So I'm going to go to my wall masonry layer, and I'll project from here with ortho on, and maybe do the old trick of copying those lines. And so then you can see it is quite different. There will be some similarities. So the slab, for example, will use a lot of the same dimensions, but because I'm going to be changing it pretty substantially, it's often a better idea, rather than trying to change it the way that I did before, to just delete the hatch. And this is where I find a lot of people have problems when they're trying to edit things in AutoCAD, making it too hard for themselves by trying to use all of the sort of more advanced features that you have now. When often it's easy just to delete things that are going to cause problems, so the hatching definitely would cause problems there. And then to work out where that beam goes, I wasn't sure before, but I've got a photo that will show you. Here we are. Okay, so you can see in this photo, there's the beam. Okay, and so you can easily count, you can work out it just visually. It's 2 bricks side on, or 1 brick lengthways, so 230. Okay, so that tells you how far from the exterior wall. We've got no slab projection here, so that can go. Okay, and so then this brickwork extends all the way through, but then the inner skin will stop. So I can trim that line using the bottom of the beam. And then again, just to keep it simple, and I think this is again where people have a lot of problems with Revit, with AutoCAD, trying to make things too hard for themselves. Just use the move tool. Stretch might save you a bit of time here, but would also make it a little bit confusing. So if you use move instead, and I'm just going to take it from the corner there to the face of the wall, and then I'm going to use move again and show you a really, really useful option or shortcut with AutoCAD. Whenever you have that option to select objects, you can type P. P selects previous. So P enter is going to select the same objects again, and now I can move them the amount I know that they are from that wall edge, which is 230, and that will tell me where the edge of the beam is. Okay, so it's a little bit of a funny detail, but that's the way it is. We've had a look at the wall and we know that's exactly how it is. So these lines again can go. And so the rest of it's just standard construction. Offsetting this line, 110, will give me the inside of the brick. Okay, so we know because we've measured this wall thickness that maybe this is the way it is, that the brickwork is slightly off-centre or off the edge of that that beam there. Okay, all of the window detail can go because there's no window in that wall. All of this brickwork as well can go because, again, that doesn't exist in this wall. And then the flashing can just come back. And actually what I might let you do, just for the sake of simplicity, even though the beam in reality would be back here, I'll let you do it slightly bigger than it is in real life, just so it's a cleaner detail. So I think if you show it like this, that would be fine. You're not rebuilding it, so that's okay. So if you just have it with the beam like that, and it's important that you understand this detail. That's a standard detail for interiors that you need to know, because all upper level floors will be supported in this way if it's concrete. So the wall is supported on the inner skin of brickwork, and the outer skin of brickwork runs past it. Okay, so that's the way it needs to be drawn, and then it's going to be the same on the level above. So all of these can go, and then this can be copied. And again, sorry, the hatching there is going to get in the way, so I'll delete that as well. Okay, so then these things can all be copied using a common reference. So we've got here the line of the slab, which I can then snap to using that shortcut PER to make sure it's perpendicular. Be a really good idea. And then extend or fillet. And there we go. So that's going to give you the bulk of that detail. You'd want to trim the lines above and below. But can you see how you've got the brickwork between your two slabs, and then the outer skin running past the slabs. One tricky little thing is that you've got the flashing down at the bottom of this beam on the upper level. So that needs to come down to there, and it really should go through the brickwork. So it would be like that. Okay, so it's different on that level. On this level, it's actually at the... oh, that's right. That's okay. That's exactly how it is on that level. But on the level above, it's well, sorry, no, that's not right. So it's up at about that height. And probably, actually, it doesn't slope very much. It's just an unusual detail, that one. But it makes sense because it's really to make sure that it's draining the from the edge of the beam. So that's why they've got those weep holes there. And then, oh yeah, so okay, so that's going to give you the brickwork for that wall. So in many ways, it's a much simpler detail than the other exterior wall. But then how do you think you'll get your windows? Well, just think about what you'd have drawn by this stage. So you should have the section over here. This is where things really become easy, if you start putting it all together. And it's hard when you're thinking about it from first principles and thinking, in advance of all the work you've got to do. But like I've been saying, if you just make a start on it and keep drawing, it will work itself out. So I've drawn there a line projecting across from the window I've already drawn, and I'm going to copy that line to all the other points I can see in my window. So these are all the heights that I can see. Okay, so just projecting lines across. And now, looking at the plan, maybe I'll start with the column. So in fact there I would probably, it's optional here which layer you work on. You could do it on the concrete layer, because you do really see the edge of the column, so you could draw that first. So I'll just take that up to the bulkhead for now. Okay, so I can see the column there, and then on this side we'd have another line from the column. So again, just up to the bulkhead for now. And now I can go to the window layer and draw the other lines I'd see from the inside of the window. And the secret when you're doing this is to be methodical and organise the lines as you draw them. So here I'm going to trim these together. Making sure I've got the right one. So again, projecting across. Yeah, so that was the line for the outside. So that's the line, so I need that line above as well. So I'm going to draw a line across from the top of the window. Oh yeah, so I've got the bulkhead there, so that's okay. So then, yes, I'm going to see this inside. That's right. And so I can fillet those now. And then coming down to the bottom, yeah, that's right. So I can fillet these together. And then this one will be trimmed back. There we go. So that's the first frame done. On the other side, it'll be the same. So up to there. Okay, so this line then is the only bit visible at the top of this frame, and then we've got these lines. So you're just projecting lines from the plan up to connect with things that will join to lines you've drawn from the section. So here, that will join to there, and again, just copy across. So again, in most offices, they'll just expect you to be able to work this all out on your own. But it's always good to practice it. In fact, I'm sure you've been doing this with your own drawings. If you haven't, then something you need to try. And so there we've got the mullions. That's going to be the dividing point in that window. So if you get it right up to that point, then you would trim back as much as you can to there, before then maybe filleting. And, oh yes, so we do have another line coming across from here that we'd see. Yep. Oh, that's right. So I got you to do that in a simplified way. And so it's fine in plan, so it's fine if you want to do that in section as well. So we've got this sash coming over the front. So that's the one on the right. Yep, that's all we need to know. So with fillet, I can join this side, and then also the so I've missed a line there. So I need another line coming up from the frame here. Oh no, sorry, I didn't miss it. Okay, so what's, oh yeah, so this should go to the, yeah, so that should have been filleted there. There we go. Okay, so just one last trim, and that will give me that whole window drawn except maybe that should be, it's a bit of a funny one there. So that line there should really be all the way. Yep, sure.
We've just gone through and configured the Adobe applications. You know,
Oh,
design
right.
isn't coming up in that.
Sure.
Next time they log on and back on again, the shortcut will appear.
Oh, great,
So
awesome.
it was
Yeah.
installed, but the shortcut was missing.
Yeah, sure, I know. Yeah, thanks for that. Cheers, thanks a lot. Okay, so those things are difficult to explain, but once you see it done, fairly straightforward. And the main thing is to make sure you work out how to project from those two different drawings to line everything up like that. So hopefully something you've got a fair amount of experience with already, but sort of make sure that's all clear, and then it should be symmetrical. So you should be able to copy all of that across to the next window bay. There we go, and it should fit in perfectly. And so if you draw things properly, it makes doing everything else much easier. If you don't take your time and draw the first one the right size, then of course when you copy it, it won't line up, and it's much harder to fix things that are drawn badly than to just draw it right in the first place. And so now we can copy all of that, minus maybe these lines at the top, which I'll deselect with Shift. And I can copy it all across to the next window bay, and that's that section done, basically, except for the hatching. And, oh, now, sorry, that doesn't line up that way, it goes the other way, to the other side. So it lines up with the column here, and then we do have a section of wall there at the end. Oh, yep, so sorry, there's one last thing. The beam in the middle. Again, we don't really know how big it is, for sure, but you can just use the columns as a reference. So just like the others, make sure the bottom lines up with your column. Something like that. And then put in your bulkheads accordingly. And there we are. So I'll let you work out the hatching for the brick wall on the right. I'm sure that shouldn't be hard at all. And of course, most of these details you can just copy down to the level below. Don't worry about drawing the bulkheads in on that lower story. But definitely make sure you do things like the columns, so that it's clear you know what the structural elements are and how they project through to the next level. Oh, and so there actually, yeah. So this we've got the column here. We've got then an idea where that beam should come across to. So this is the very last thing, I promise. Just going to get that right though. Okay, so that's what that section should look like generally. So you think you'll be able to work all of that out? Fairly easy, yeah. It's not too bad once you get started with it.